all the candidates that have been identified so far and have been nominated for NAHSE office. Instead, I'm going to use some time tonight to talk about the importance of your engagement with this process, which will speak to many of the things that the panelists spoke about tonight. But we will have an opportunity to introduce those candidates who are here, and then there's a further process later where through their bios and information that will be put on the website, you'll be able to meet them. There'll be an opportunity for them to talk to the nominating committee, to address questions that they have, and likely other activities as well. But I would like to take 2 minutes to wrap around the theme of tonight, which was resilience, opportunity, and change. Because I certainly heard a lot of things this evening that, as Pat mentioned, you can continue to build that skill storage set and hear things no matter where you are along your career journey. And that's why I get excited about opportunities like this to hear new individuals speak the things. And so in the resilience piece, for me, it took me back to a time when I hit a milestone in my life, at least I thought it was important, that I took the first senior position with Michael Reese Health Plan many, many years ago. And I was so excited about it, the first thing I thought to do was pick up the phone and call my father. He's back in New Jersey. Dad, you won't believe this, I just got promoted. I'm now the Associate Executive Director, that's the Chief Operator of Michael Reese Health Plan. My father, phone on this side, and he said, well, kid, you're still fooling them, aren't you? That was my first reaction. Yeah. But I've come to appreciate that were really some words of endearment for him. Let me embody and expand upon what he was saying. Early on around my journey, he recognized the barriers and the challenges that persons of color would face as you started your transition. And he recognized then that skill alone wasn't working. Your training alone wasn't working. Your educational depth wasn't working. And you're going to be challenged at many points, and you have to be resilient to stay on your feet and to employ a little trickery sometimes along the way, because the playing field was not level. So his endearment was, not only did you get that solid foundation that was important, you've learned and utilized tricks along the way, not disparaging way, but how to survive through this maze. And that is what resilience is about today and remains. You have to find a sweet spot that you have that is the strongest part of your whole body. Opportunity. Just 2 days ago, many of you heard Viola Davis talk about the only thing that stood between recognition for a black woman to be recognized at 50+ years to win an award was opportunity. We weren't getting it if we didn't have the opportunity. And I marveled and got excited as she thanked and regaled at her fellow sisters out there who were all deserving. Well, each of you in your own career path, many of you already will continue to sometimes not have requisite opportunity to give you that chance to move on. So you work out and develop a plan. And lastly, courage. To quote a very famous philosopher around town, Charles Barkley. And in his words, when somebody challenged him and asked him about being a role model, he said, I'm not a role model. I'm not a role model. There are people who look up to him as a basketball and a sport, and you know that funny people there. And in many ways, I could argue that he's correct for a point he was making. But let's talk about us. We cannot deny that each of us in this room, in our role, we are absolute role models to those behind us. And part of that responsibility that comes along with the things that we achieve is to find a way to be sure that we're quite visible in front of those individuals who have not quite got there. A lot of different channels. We talked about mentoring, formal or informal, reaching out, giving back, involvement. And I challenge each of you to have the courage to so much is easier than that. The courage to recognize that it is a part of the total development. Resilience, opportunity, change, which leads me to a brief commercial on where we are tonight about leadership within NAHSE. The vitality of this organization, what has been most important for the long legacy, the nearly 50 years of this organization's survival, is a change and continuation of leadership in those who understand the importance of being actively involved in the success and the survivability of this organization that is so important. And so tonight, we'll have an opportunity to meet some of the individuals who have taken that call and are stepping up to be considered for office. And I'd also say to each of you, as you think about your role and your engagement with NAHSE, to consider, if not this year, going forward. But you do as a voter and a person who can gauge by making a decision and choice about who the next leader will be for this organization, that I encourage you to make your voice heard as well. So give yourself a hand. I am big for it. And I look around tonight. You may have had other choices, and this is so cliche, but tonight you chose NAHSE, and I thank you for that. So with that, I'd like to ask each of the candidates, first before I do, are there any members of the nominating committee in the office tonight? Well, I am here very privileged to represent Dr. Diane Howard, who is the chairperson this year of the... Okay. Would like to see?
I was on the committee with him. Excuse me? I was saying to Currie on the committee with him, the nominating committee.
Amelia's on the committee. Yeah, she's on the committee.
Okay.
You are on the committee? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just wanted you to say it. I wanted folks to recognize who's on the committee. So she is one of 5 individuals who will actually be screening and have an opportunity to talk to the candidates along the way and ask questions and get some connection. Very important job. And then we're making the recommendations and bring them forward to the NAHSE leadership. So could I have the other candidates who are here tonight stand for a second? And then we'll go around. I'd like each just to introduce yourself. And the 2 minutes, tougher candidates, but we have a little time. Just 2 minutes about your interest in running.
Sure. So good evening, everybody. My name is Philip Burchin. I'm been a member of NAHSE Chicago chapter for about 7 years. I've been served as a parliamentarian under 2 administrations. In that, I definitely have been active in the local as well as national events, and definitely have learned to, in that 4 years that I've been on as an executive board member, I've definitely had a better understanding of the spirit and the culture of NAHSE and what it stands for, the mission, the advancement for blacks and leadership in healthcare. And that's what I do on a daily basis. I'm the vice president for the Exeter Group. We are a talent management firm focused solely on the healthcare sector. And in that, I engage organizations on a daily basis to increase leadership and development in the organization. So I've served for several years. I definitely have an interest. I'm running for president-elect. I definitely appreciate Bob's sentiment. He's not running, but he definitely gave a great campaign speech. But thank you. But thank you. I'll keep it brief, but Philip Birch is running for president-elect.
Thank you, Philip.
Tiara Muse. I am running for treasurer of the NAHSE chapter. I'll be brief as well. I have been a member of NAHSE for about 3.5 to 4 years, ever since I moved to Chicago and got introduced to the organization by a woman. She introduced me to NAHSE, and since then I've been actively engaged in the student leadership portion of NAHSE and the UIC on the UIC's campus as a MPH student and now a young professional. I've benefited greatly from seeking advice and mentorship and just overall guidance from several NAHSE members, past and present, I would say, in terms of involvement. So I look to further engage the membership through my affiliation. Not that there's a talent management in here, but I'm also an executive search, and I've spoke to my leadership in the healthcare services practice at Spencer Stewart about engaging NAHSE, and I feel stepping into a leadership position and in this role would allow me to not only build our network as an organization, but it'll allow me to facilitate some engagement in the executive talent pool. So it'll allow me to kind of serve as a liaison and kind of get us in those pools to engage our membership with my organization and to almost build awareness on both ends as to how we can work together. So
Thank you.
Well, I'm John Butler. I work in ambulatory management, operations management, and I'm applying and running for parliamentarian. And just to, kind of piggyback on what they were saying, but NAHSE has been a huge opportunity to see people of color in leadership throughout the industry. And it's besides the huge asset that it is as far as mentorship and opportunity and networking, it's a huge opportunity just to see and be motivated by some of the great people within our organization. So and it's my real desire is to be more involved with that, be more involved with mentorship, and I feel that being parliamentarian is a good start for that in order to facilitate the meetings and to make sure that the meetings are being run efficiently and appropriately. My professional experience with that was mainly I manage a large clinic, 18 providers, and it's a wellness clinic, and there are many. You see a lot of people, a lot of providers, and sometimes the leadership get a little bit off base, and to keep things on track, and I think that my experience there would greatly help within that position.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone. My name is Howard Robinson, and appreciate everyone being here tonight. I am this thing is kind of like here and there, but I am a former hospital administrator with the Cook County Bureau of Health Services. I retired back in 2010. Didn't realize I had 30 years of service, but I guess when you start out as an employee when you're a junior in high school, the time creeps up on you. Upon my retirement from the hospital, I was selected as the State Command Sergeant Major for the Illinois National Guard, Army, and Air. So served that time 30 years of all that good leadership stuff, and retired about 2 years ago. I have a definite vested interest in NAHSE. I've been a member for about 20 years, and it's all about service. And I think you said that earlier. That's my sweet passion, is serving others, and that's what I've been doing all of my life, in my professional career. And I am actually running for president-elect. Held former offices in NAHSE as a former past president, parliamentarian. So been through the whole deal with NAHSE, and encourage participation. And despite or whatever the outcome is of the election, it is my promise to still remain a member of the organization and support whoever our leadership team is. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I'm standing because I have courage, Bob.
Okay.
My name is Cindy Davis. When I heard about NAHSE, I was introduced to NAHSE, I was very impressed with what I heard. A group, an organization of people coming together in a collaborative effort to make sure that no man is left behind. That's my root. That's how my parents raised me, to make sure that no man is left behind. So the value and the mission of NAHSE, there's overlap as well with my personal foundational values. When I came to NAHSE, one of the meetings, I actually liked what I saw. So it was a little bit different. It was more than what I had heard. To actually see it in formulation, it was a really great experience. And so it's not a surprise that I'm standing here today. I've been in healthcare since 2004 in an administrative role, and making sure that people of color receive the health care that they're entitled to, that equality piece of it, that's why I'm here. Again, leaving no man behind, making sure that everyone is included in receiving the rights that they're entitled to. That, again, goes in tandem with my career of being in healthcare administration as the director of human resources and looking for talent and bringing people in that can service and make sure that everyone is getting the service that they should get. My history, my work history includes payroll administration of a volume of $5.7 million on a biweekly basis, audits, internal and external, making sure that procedural, financial, as well as security measures are met. So I think that my background, my experience, my passion for making sure, again, that no one is left behind, as well as that trait that I took on for myself to actually stand for something, I think I'm ready to stand for NAHSE. Thank you.
I'd like to close then. One tradition in illustrating that connectivity. We have a number of past presidents here of the chapter before they leave. I know she hasn't gone even around. So I'd like you to meet Tony, Howard, Patty, right in front of me. So I just want to recognize their continued involvement and activeness with the chapter. That's so important for our future. Thank you, everyone.